So two witnesses, presentation number 30, and we are still cruising through Revelation 11. And this is the Semyon, the elephant kicking out donkey from a building on which US flag flies. So the Semyon is set of representations. This is a very typical vision that is shown to prophets and holy men of God. So they see this vision, which is a bunch of Semyons, and record it faithfully for us. Later on, either God or one of the angels would come and explain the Semyon. The elephant is not really an elephant in this case. It is a representation of Republican presidential candidate who just won the elections and occupying the White House while he is kicking out a Democrat Party presidential candidate or president, outgoing president. He is kicking out of the White House. The kicking is not really kicking. It's a semyon for defeating in election. And donkey is not really donkey. It's a representation of Democrats. So the White House is the building and US flag is additional insight. And this is how the prophets are shown. So here Daniel is shown a huge, dreadful, and terrible beast. It's the sole superpower. And this dreadful, terrible beast has 10 horns. Out of 10 horns, a little horn would spring up and uproots 3 horns. So it comes as 11th horn. And after uprooting 3 of the horns, it becomes 8th, because 7 would be left out of 10. So it becomes the 8th horn. And this 8th horn is of very great interest for Bible students, because that is the one who would kill us, the saints, the elect. And that is the chief agency that causes the huge martyrdom before the second coming in the end times. So we have this, with this background, it personally affects us. And this little horn is the power that persecutes us. It puts us under its heel. It treads down us, and it wages war against us and prevails against us for a certain given long period of time. It is called time, times, and half a time. So for that period, the true church, the saints, would be defeated by this agency of little horn. But the second coming happens and the resurrection happens. The saints would judge this little horn, will consume it and destroys it. And the kingdom, the everlasting kingdom, would be given to the saints of Most High, and they will possess it forever and ever. That is the good ending. That is the hope-filled part, that saints would possess the kingdom. But before that great good things happen, we have bad and sad times. That is time, times, and half a time. This little horn parades with its fierceness to kill every saint that he can grab off. So let's launch into the presentation. We are walking through Revelation 11, and the verse that is interested is verse 7. Verse 7, it talks about when they, that is 2 witnesses, shall have finished their testimony, the beast that ascends out of the bottomless pit, that is Greek abyssos, shall make war against them, against the 2 witnesses, and shall overcome them and kill them. This is exactly similar, very similar phrase. We see the little horn does that. It makes and declares a war against the saints, not two witnesses, saints, and prevails against them and kills a bunch of them. So with this, we are still exploring this verse, and we'll go through this. And here the two witnesses are killed by this beast that ascended out of bottomless pit. If you consider two witnesses to be the saints, elect, true church, then all these beasts would converge into one beast, conceptually. But if you believe that two witnesses are separate from the true church, then probably you still have two beasts doing very similar work. That's where we are. And we have 4 kingdoms of Daniel. We went through these things. And the first chapter 2 is statue kingdoms that are shown to Nebuchadnezzar, the head of gold, arms and breast of silver, that is Medo-Persian, and belly and thighs of brass, that is Greece, and 2 legs of iron, that is Rome, and feet of iron and clay, that is the future, a long period of time. The statue still stands, even though these kingdoms lost their dominion. They are like mere small empire, not empire, small countries. Like Rome became Italy, and Greece is still Italy. Medo-Persia, probably Iran or Iraq, and Babylon is most likely Iraq, whatever small countries. But Daniel 7 talks about the future kingdoms. These are BC kingdoms before Christ, and these are AD kingdoms. So we have winged lion with 2 wings of a great eagle. This is one of the modern nations. And bear with 3 ribs in its mouth. This is second modern nation, AD kingdoms. And the third is leopard with 4 wings, perhaps double the speed, agility, and military swiftness. And the fourth is monster. This is dreadful and terrible beast. This is unlike other 3. And this parallels Rome. So this is the beast that has 10 horns, out of which the little horn would come. So this is the modern nation. This is the sole surviving superpower at the time of second coming. We're coming prophetically to the very edge and end of human history. And then shortly after this, the second coming would happen, and this beast, as well as the little horn, would be decimated. They would be toast. So this is the surviving superpower. This is patterned after Rome. So coming back to this, our next slide, that is Daniel 2, we have Babylon, head of gold. This is Medo-Persia, then Greece, then Rome, and unknown beasts. And then you have kingdom of God that comes as a stone that hits the feet of the statue, and the whole statue is destroyed. But interesting features about this Daniel 2 is little horn. It comes in the time of Greece. It comes out of Greece. So the third kingdom, and then kingdom of God, actually comes during the fourth kingdom, the invisible kingdom of God, formerly inaugurated by Son of God nearly 2,000 years ago. And we come to the Daniel 7. We have future AD kingdoms, and we have lion kingdom, which is modern kingdoms. So the lion with eagle's wings, and then you have bear raised on one side and 3 ribs between its teeth. And it was told to devour much flesh. So, and leopard, the 4 wings of a bird on its back, and it has 4 heads, and dominion was given to it. So it is patterned after Greece. You have a military dictator kind of guy for this leopard kingdom, modern kingdom. After his death, his country is divided into 4 parts. So he's known for his swiftness, like Alexander. Bear is like Medo-Persia, and lion is like Babylon. And then the fourth beast is patterned after Rome. It is many features of Rome. It's dreadful and terrible, exceedingly strong, great iron teeth, and devoured, break in pieces, stamped residue, nails, brass nails, and it has 10 horns. This is different from Rome in the features like 10 horns. Rome does not have 10 horns. So here actually Rome has nothing to do with Little Horn. Little Horn arrived in Greece, the third kingdom. These are shadow kingdoms before Christ, and these are AD kingdoms, the real modern fulfillment. So the little horn comes on top of this from one of these 10 horns. It comes at the place of 10 horns and uproots 3 after it comes out. It springs up from the head of this dreadful and terrible beast. So little horn comes and we have so much details. And finally, kingdom of God comes, second coming. So we are very edge of the history of world as we see it today. And once the second coming happens, it will be a different scenario, the millennial rule, and we are familiar with those things. So the little horn would be destroyed, no doubt, but this dreadful, terrible, exceedingly strong beast would also be destroyed. It will be burnt. So both, either together they are destroyed, or this dreadful beast is destroyed first, and then the little horn is actually destroyed by Christ and the saints that are coming. So these are a little bit open-ended. We can't make hard conclusions. And this little horn has several things with the little horn of shadow. Last 2 times we studied little horn in the shadow. Now we are coming to little horn in the reality. So it has some features of shadow, but it has a lot more additions, which the shadow does not have. So that's what we are going to explore today. It has very interesting phrases, and those phrases for the little horn would open up threads that will take to different parts of Bible. So if you take each of the phrase and the thread, you will get a bounty of treasure, of the richness of the revelation. So we will do as much as we can, because our goal is to come back to 2 witnesses at this point. Now, Tom asked last time about little horn. Would it be worshipped? I kind of concluded that it is not worshipped per se. It would ask people to worship the beast. That's possible. Here there's a some mystery for the little horn. It has features of beast, and also it has features of false prophet. It has both the features. So it depends on how you view, how it plays. If it is behaving like beast, if it is actually beast according to God, then it would be worshipped, beast or its image. If it is false prophet, then probably not. False prophet directs men and women to worship beast directly, or to make an image to the beast and worship the image. So that's the more accurate answer to Tom's question. Let's recap what we went through for the shadow of the little horn. These are important. So we saw several points. In shadow, little horn comes out of one of the 4 notable horns of the Greek Empire. You have Seleucid Empire. Out of that, the little horn came in shadow. Remember, Greek Empire is the 3rd kingdom of the statue. It grows to be exceedingly great. So it comes as a small, tiny, but it grows exceedingly great. We see that in today's discussion for the little horn that comes out of the fourth beast, that real little horn also comes as a small horn, but immediately uproots three horns out of 10, and it grows bigger than any other horn of that dreadful and terrible beast. So this is a pattern matching between shadow and the reality, and it expands to south, east, and the pleasant. The pleasant is understood as Judea. So we were not given this in the reality. This only exists in shadow. It grows great even to the host of heaven. So here the host of heaven is understood as Son of God, Yeshua Jesus Christ. Actually, host of heaven is armies of God, and armies of God are headed by Son of God. So armies of God would refer to Israel, or Judea in this case, and it casts some of the host of the heaven to the ground. So Israelites or Judeans are thrown to the ground. That means their right standing with God is violated and jeopardized. And it casts down some of the stars of heaven to the ground. This is figuratively speaking about the true church, our covenantal relationship, and our covenantal standing with God is done away. So we were cast to the ground. We were no longer in heaven. It's stamped upon about too. So the stars of heaven is another phrase that refers to Israel primarily. Now, northern 10 tribes are gone into captivity. The only people that are left with the covenant relationship was Judah. So at this stage, when this prophecy is given to Daniel, Judah is also going into captivity, but Judeans have the right standing for several centuries from this point. They are the only covenanted people. In fact, the little horn in the form of Antiochus Epiphanes, it comes and attacks Judea. So stars of heaven, host of heaven refer to Judeans. In shadow, in reality, it refers to the true church. So this little horn comes and casts some of us down, some of the true church, down to the ground. We are no longer dwelling in heaven. It magnifies itself even to the prince of the host of heaven. This is a phrase used for Son of God, prince of host, prince of princes, prince of the armies of heaven. So all this, you have more evidence that it points to Christ. So it exalts itself even to the prince of the host of heaven. So this happened in shadow. This also happening in reality. It attacks true church. It also lifts itself up against Jesus Christ, Yeshua. These are very important pieces of information that helps us to identify the little horn. Which people or which country or which kingdom in our times that puts its face against Son of God? Which country blasphemes Son of God, Jesus Christ or Yeshua? There are not many people that do that. Not many countries that would do that. It's easy to identify in a sense if you have honest, truthful examination of the modern kingdoms of this our time. It causes daily to be taken away. So the little horn comes and takes away daily to be taken away. Daily is a representation of, again, Christ in terms of several usages of the word tamid. It refers to the lamps. It refers to the bread. It refers to sanctuary. It refers to the altars. So it's all figuratively referring to Christ. So for us, Christ and his authority and his instructions are taken away from us. So we no longer have Christ. Why? Because the little horn got us. That is the danger. The little horn, as we see, it kills us, some of us spiritually, and others it kills us physically. The physical killing of us is a little uh, dangerous, little less dangerous than the spiritual death. Spiritual death is eternal. So we have to guard against our spiritual death, and we have to uphold our spiritual life. And we don't care much about our physical life when this little horn comes and touches us. Causes the place of sanctuary to be cast down. The sanctuary is more like body of Christ, so the congregations no longer would be able to operate. It casts down the true church, true congregations, when it comes into full swing. A host was given to it against daily, so it was given a private army, armed forces, to go against the true church. Here it is tamid, and because of the transgression of the people. So when Judah was in full covenantal relationship with God, there is no mention or there is no hint of little horn ever approaching Judeans. But when the transgressions are full for the Judeans, then the little horn is sent as a judgment. Perhaps we have a lesson for us. When many people lose their fervor, lose their heat, they become Laodiceans and they become lukewarm, or there is a greater falling away, or the transgressions come to the full, or the lawlessness abounds. When that happens, the little horn would surely appear. That is the pattern we are seeing, and it will bring down lots of the things that we have seen, the sanctuary, the daily, and the lamps. We will see that more, and to cast down truth to the ground. So the gospel is no longer allowed to be preached, no longer publicly announced. So the church goes underground, obviously, when this happens in reality. But in shadow also, very similar thing happened. It cast down the truth to the ground, and it's practiced and prospered. So there's a continual growth of its influence and its power. It comes as a little guy, this little horn. It towards the end of its life cycle, it becomes a huge, humongous power, and it kills a bunch of people, including true church. And there's a growth aspect in the vision, in the prophecy, and then it's 2,300 days from the daily to be taken away, abomination, desolation, and host and sanctuary trodden down. Basically, it says 2,300 days the sanctuary would be taken down. So it does the abomination, desolation, which Christ spoke about in the Olivet prophecy. So this is the guy who does abomination, desolation, and we saw this in secular history. Let's continue the points. Sanctuary would be cleansed after this period. We have very similar pattern in the reality, that is time, times, and half a time. The people of God would be trodden down. A king of fierce countenance. So this is the explanation by the angel. So he's different from other kings. A king of fierce countenance. He's fully motivated and active, perhaps ruthless, perhaps a demonic presence with him. Understands dark sentences. He has super IQ, some help from demonic beings. So he understands secret dark things. He stands up when transgressors come to the full. So it has something to do with the falling away. Its power shall be mighty, but not by its own power. So even though this little horn is a great power, but it's not its own power. Some external agency is supplying that power. most likely it is Satan and the demons. It is successful in what it undertakes, causes terrible destruction. It destroys mighty men as well as holy people. So true church is not the only target. It kills a bunch of other people, whoever opposes its mission. By treachery, it will succeed through deceit. So it's very treacherous, lying, deceitful, and there is no loyalty and faithfulness. It is arrogant and destroys many that are unaware of its schemes. So the people who were killed by it have no clue who is killing them, why it is killing them, and they will be in total shock when they see this little horn actually killing them. After all, they thought this is a good guy. This is a God's blessed guy. After all, they held this little horn in very high esteem, and they did not tolerate anybody criticizing this little horn. That is typical Christian. Majority of Christians would fall for the little horn, and they look down upon you uh, with anger if you say anything against this little horn. So the little horn has built this deceptive clouds around itself among the people, so that people can't tolerate any criticism of the little horn. It works in a secret way. Its ways are clandestine. Perhaps they have extensive spying network and exceptional secret armed forces that would silently, secretly kill people and bury the evidence. So there are several patterns. It is open-ended. It stands up against the Prince of Princes. It's somebody asked, is this Antichrist? I think last time. It is, because it is standing up against Prince of Princes, who is this Christ, Son of God. So it is an Antichrist figure. It will be broken, but not by human agency. That's what we see in the reality also. Be broken by second coming, perhaps by Christ and the resurrected saints. So we also go to the secular history here, and how the little horn happened in the history when the Antiochus Epiphanes came. Antiochus IV Epiphanes of Seleucid dynasty is believed to be the little horn. This king came up to Jerusalem pretending to be peaceful. So he came to physical Jerusalem in shadow, pretending to be peaceful. The little horn also comes to spiritual Jerusalem, heavenly Jerusalem, that is us, the true church, pretending to be peaceful. Got possession of the city by treachery. So with this pretension, by lying and manipulation, it becomes friends with true church. The church, true church, welcomes it to be friend. That's what we see there. And then Antiochus Epiphanes, king, after entering into the city along with his armed forces, he suddenly turns and starts killing the people and taking hold of the sanctuary and the temple. So when that happened, there's a backstabbing of Judeans by Antiochus Epiphanes. The king did not spare even those who welcomely admitted him into the city. The secular history we took from Josephus, the Jewish historian, in Complete Works of Josephus, that is the book. Covetous inclination towards the riches that lay in the temple. So the temple, his focus is on temple, which is true church in reality. Treasures, lots of gold, ornaments of very great value. He ventured to break the league made to plunder the temple. So he breaks his own understanding with the people. He took down lampstand, that is no more gospel work. Golden altar of incense is a picture of prayers of saints, that is also taken out. Took down brazen altar, this is the open public sacrifice, and table of showbread, the true manna, it represents true manna. The teachings of Christ would no longer be openly, publicly available. took veils made up of fine linen and scarlet. The veil is the body of Christ. So the veil is also he took away from temple. This is done by Antiochus Epiphanes in the shadow. We covered this in the last presentation. Emptied secret treasures of the temple. The temple church has secret treasure. That is the hidden manna. That is, again, the teachings of Christ. It put the Judeans to great lamentation. The physical Judeans suffered enormously at the hands of Antiochus Epiphanes. So the spiritual Judeans, us, we will also suffer at the hands of this little horn in reality. Daily sacrifices were banned, which were offered according to the law. So you can no longer offer sacrifices to God, spiritual sacrifices for us. It slew some and carried captive others, including wives and children. So the little horn will kill lots of true Christians, and it will also cause us to be put into jail, carried captive. This is also confirmed in Olivet prophecy by Christ. Estimated count 10,000 by Josephus. It overthrew finest buildings and took down walls of Jerusalem. So the finest buildings, the main pillars of Jerusalem, it took down. And the walls of physical Jerusalem also he tore down. For the spiritual heavenly Jerusalem, New Jerusalem, the walls are salvation, according to the book of Isaiah. So he's also knocking down the salvation for the people of God under the new covenant. It built a garrison fortified with high walls and towers overlooking temple. So he has put a fortified garrison. So a watchdog agency was put into motion to watch the true Christians, what they are doing, where they are. So there is open garrison, the military presence, and some kind of monitoring of Christians. It brings in and institutes. That's the little horn. The citadel, the main tower, also housed the impious and wicked Judeans who caused great suffering to the people of God. So you have black sheep in the churches, our churches. They work with the little horn, and they become part of this watchdog to watch against us. So they would be giving information to the little horn, such a people are hiding in this house. So they are the ones who will hand over us to the authorities, to the little horn. It's exactly same description I see in Olivet prophecy. The brother would deceive brother and hand over them to the authorities. So church goes through severe persecution. Never was such persecution in the past, nor in the future. This is one-time event in the human history. King built an idol altar on the top of God's altar. So it presents an alternate worship to what is the true worship. What is true worship? Under new covenant, we worship the Father in spirit and in truth. Those who are worshiping the Father in spirit and in truth are called true worshippers. So it would replace the true worship with some false worship, because Antiochus Epiphanes did exactly the same thing. He put an idol altar on top of God's altar. King offered swine on that altar. So true church would be forced to do something abomination to God, swine on that altar. He banned worship of true God, compelled serving his gods. So eventually the little horn would ban the worship of true God, and he perhaps declares Christianity as evil religion. It is the charges would be pressed against anybody who is practicing Christianity, especially true Christianity. So you will be tried under different laws at that time, perhaps sedition, perhaps some false accusation, Most of the times, Christians were martyred as for the crime of insurrection, sedition. So we don't know how the laws would be framed in our times, in the reality, but it is banned. The worship of true God is banned. Compelled people to build pagan temples, raise idol altars in every city and village of Judea, and offer swine every day. See, this is how we see this pattern in Revelation. The false prophet causes the people to build a, an image to the beast and worship the image of the beast, and it gives pneuma or power to the image of the beast, so that image of the beast both speaks as well as kills those who do not worship the image or the beast. So here is very similar pattern. He compels some pagan temple, Judeans to worship, and spiritual Judeans would also be forced and compelled to worship this image of the beast, because Antiochus Epiphanes is like beast, is a political thing, and swine, something very offensive to God, which is abomination to God. It forces us to do that. It is like abomination, desolation. You have abomination, desolation in the shadow, and there is abomination, desolation in the reality, which Christ, by the way, warns us against abomination, desolation in Matthew 24. Some refused to honor king's instructions and suffered great punishments and torments. So there are some faithful Christians among us who would refuse these instructions, these mad rules, and they deny that and worship the true God and face the consequences, punishments and torments and torture, different torture schemes that they have to go through. Commanded them not to circumcise their sons. So Judeans were commanded by Antiochus Epiphanes, the little horn, not to circumcise their sons. And the spiritual little horn in our times would do exactly the same, not physical circumcision, but circumcision of heart, our very life, circumcision of heart, our very seal and very identity. That would be tampered by the little horn. He appointed overseers to enforce his orders. So he creates lots of agencies, perhaps at state level and federal level, and they will be enforcing these laws. Anybody found, they will put in jails or kill them. Many Judeans complied either voluntarily or out of fear of penalty. So because of the lawlessness, because of the severe persecution, many Christians would lose their faith, give up. Love of many will grow cold. That's what Christ said. Best and noblest did not regard king's commands and face the consequences. So there are some true faithful elect. They would worship God and remain faithful under new covenant in reality, in spite of the consequences. Every day they went through great miseries and bitter torments. That is the life of Christians in those days when the little horn parades. They were whipped with rods, bodies torn to pieces, crucified when they are alive and still breathing. This is in shadow, something very similar we will see. It strangled women who circumcised their sons. So the churches and the church leaders would be prosecuted for circumcising their people with the truth. The spiritual circumcision of heart is truth, in spirit, in truth. Circumcised sons were hanged around neck, crucified. So whoever were circumcised in heart would also be killed. And if any sacred book of law found, it is confiscated and burnt. I don't know how it translates. Perhaps Bible is already banned by that time as an offensive and dangerous book. If anybody was found with a book, that book would be confiscated. Those who are found with it were subjected to severe punishments. So this is how little horn did in shadow. Now we are coming to reality. In reality, the little horn is backed by this dreadful and terrible beast. This is the fourth beast of Daniel 7. On this beast, there are 10 horns. Out of that, this little horn comes out and plucks immediately 3 horns. It uproots, take 3 horns by their roots. So it uproots them, and then remaining 7, it becomes 8. This is the little horn in the modern times, in our times. This is a reality. So let's see reality of little horn. We will go through Daniel 7. This is AD kingdoms. The terrible, dreadful beast is AD kingdom. This is patterned after Rome. We went through the features of Rome, whichever country is patterned after Rome, that is the dreadful fourth beast. This is the sole surviving superpower of the world. The other 3 beasts, which are before that, they are no longer superpowers. This is the superpower, the only unchallenged superpower when the second coming happens. So the second coming happens, and at that point, this beast would be destroyed, as well as the little horn would be destroyed. So these 2 entities, little horn as well as the beast, they prolong up to the second coming. So these are major players in the end times and the persecution of church. So Daniel 7 will start with verse 1. In the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon, Daniel had a dream and vision of his head upon his bed. Then he wrote the dream and told the sum of the matters. So he got the vision, dream, and then he saw the video, heard the audio, and then he woke up and then wrote for us what he saw, what he heard. He was even allowed to interact with the people in the vision. So he's into the video. Isn't it interesting? When you watch the video, you watch it on a TV or a computer monitor, you silently watch, you're not part of that. But Daniel can penetrate into the video and interact with the people there. He grabs one of them and asks, like, what all this about? Please explain me. So that person explains to Daniel, oh, this entity is this, that beast is a different entity. So he gives lots of details. So isn't it fantastic that he's able to interact in the vision? Daniel spoke and said, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, the 4 winds of heaven strove upon the great sea. And 4 great beasts, Kahe, it is pronounced as Kahe, 4 beasts, 4 Kahe came up from the sea, diverse from one from another, 4 different distinct modern kingdoms, AD kingdoms. They come one after other. The first was like a lion and had eagle's wings. I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked. Which nation has a lion with eagle's wings as its original emblem? And 2 wings were plucked out, and the wings were separated from that kingdom. It is left with lion. Whatever kingdom, the modern kingdom, modern country. I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked, and it was lifted up from the earth and made stand upon its feet as a man, and man's heart was given to it. So it's very human, man-like appearance, and perhaps more civilized of all the beasts. Verse 5, and behold, another beast like Kahe, a second Kahe, is like unto a bear, and it raised up itself on one side, and it has 3 ribs in the mouth of it, between the teeth of it. And they said, there is no they actually, it was told to arise and devour much flesh. The first one is patterned after Babylon. The second one is patterned after Medo-Persian Union. So you must find a modern nation which is also a union and which also has a bear as its national emblem. And it is a conglomeration of two ethnic groups, and it devoured much flesh. Millions of people were killed in its regime. So it's a mass killing. So that is the second beast, patterned after Medo-Persian Union. And the third, after this I beheld, and lo, another, like a leopard, which had upon the back of it 4 wings of a fowl or a bird. And the beast, Kahe, had also 4 heads, and the dominion was given to it. So it is patterned after Greece, Alexander. After him, 4 parts, and it is very swift, like a Grecian kingdom, very fast and military strategy. So which modern kingdom has the leopard? Leopard is another name for panther. So you can do some history research into the modern kingdoms. One has more panther. You have everywhere panther, and everywhere like leopard is concealed as panther in their vocabulary. It's very fascinating. So, but these 3 kingdoms were no longer there. Their dominion is taken out. They will just continue like non-superpowers. But the 4th guy remains as superpower rest of its tenure until the second coming happens. Christ comes and destroys. Until such time, the 4th beast would exist. And after this I saw in the night visions, behold, a 4th beast, Kahe, dreadful and terrible, strong exceedingly, and it had great iron teeth. It devoured and brake in pieces, stamped the residue with the feet of it, and was diverse from all the beasts, Kahe, that were before it, and had 10 horns. So it was diverse from other 3 beasts. It's in its fierceness, in its military, and its extent of influence, and its size and the complexity. Nowhere in the history of world have we seen such a huge superpower, exceedingly great, patterned after Rome. So this beast, dreadful 4th beast, in the reality has 10 horns, but the Rome does not have 10 horns. Why the little horn doesn't come out of Rome? It comes out of Greece, one kingdom before that in shadow. But here it is the 4th kingdom that gives rise to the horns. It has 10 horns. And the 10 horns, it comes out of the dreadful beast. Now, there can be 10 rulers of the king of this beast empire, or there are other 10 small kingdoms which are supporting, giving life to this dreadful beast, either financial or material resources or some kind of dependency this mega beast has on these 10 horns. Out of 10 horns, 3 would be knocked down by a new horn that comes into existence in the history. So this new horn uproots 3, and then it grows bigger and bigger. That is the little horn. That is the sinister entity at the end time. That entity also almost comes to the second coming, where it will be destroyed. So we have sole superpower, and this superpower supports the little horn. At one point, it's hard to tell who is supporting who. It almost looks like little horn has total control of this whole huge mega beast that is ruling and reigning, pulling the strings. At other times, it almost looks like the beast needs the little horn. So the beast supports little horn, or little horn supports the beast. It's very hard to tell. We have very similar imagery given to us for the mystery Babylon. You have a huge beast in the Revelation, dreadful beast. It has 10 horns. It has 7 heads and 10 horns. It's a huge mega beast. On that top of that, you don't see the horn. You see a woman riding, pulling the strings. Isn't it fascinating? You have a beast dreadful and a woman riding. Here also you have a beast but the little horn riding are the same? That's a question we have to investigate. Verse 8, I considered the horns, the 10 horns, and behold, there came up among them a little horn, Zair Keren, before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots. And behold, this horn, this small little horn, it has eyes like eyes of man. The word for man is Enosh, like human being, eyes, whatever it is. Like it has a phrase, very interesting phrase. It has eyes of man, which is unlike other 9 horns. This eyes of a man. Eyes always are a representation of wisdom or smartness, super intelligence. In prophetic terminology, perhaps it has more intelligence. Perhaps it has intelligence agencies which surpasses every other country. And a mouth speaking great things. It is rabrab. Rabrab is the Hebrew word used for great things. Great things in English have a positive connotation, but most commentators and most other translations would translate these great things as proud things, arrogant things, mouth speaking blasphemies, mouth speaking arrogant things, mouth speaking against God. That's what we see the pattern. We see the pattern in shadow. We see the pattern here also. Verse 9, I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the ancient of the days sit. So here in the vision that is shown to Daniel, the vision progresses sometimes yet far into the future and comes back to the present. So your vision, like the camera moves forward in time and comes backwards to where it started. So here it's going forward. Perhaps it's going to heaven and giving us some information there and comes back to earth. It beheld till the thrones were cast down. That means all the thrones, all the kingdoms, the thrones were cast down. So there are no more governments, whatever form of government. They were all cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit. Either it is referring to Christ or the Father. At this point, we do not know. Ancient of Days did sit, whose garment was white as snow, and the hair of his head like pure wool. His throne was like the fiery flame, and his wheels as burning fire. It almost looks like Christ, but it also could represent Father, because Christ is the image of the Father. A fiery stream issued and came forth before him. Thousands ministered unto him, and 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him, and the judgment was set, and the books were opened. We see this exact phrase in book of Revelation. Books were opened. A great white throne is set. So you are going into heaven. What is happening? While this little horn is parading and killing every Christian that it can find, but in heaven, something else is happening. This is all dismantled, and the kingdom would be given to the saints. Isn't it fantastic? The positive messages are embedded even in the visions. Verse 11, I beheld then because of the voice of the great Rabrab, proud words or arrogant words, which the horn spoke. I beheld even till the beast Kahe was slain, and his body destroyed and given to the burning of the flame. Here it's a very interesting thing. Here he was watching the little horn. The little horn is keren in Hebrew. So he was watching the horn, keren. Then I beheld even till, not keren, here Kahe. Kahe, the beast, that is the fourth dreadful beast, was slain, and his body destroyed and given to the burning flame. So I always thought for many years, I thought this beast was same as the little horn. It is not. It is the horn he is watching. Then he sees the fourth dreadful beast was slain and his body destroyed and given to the burning flame. So you can make a case that when the supporting huge mega beast, the world empire superpower, when it is destroyed, the horns are also would be destroyed. That's a fair assertion, I think. So together they are destroyed, perhaps. Because the woman riding the beast in Revelation, the mystery Babylon, she would be burnt. Her body would be destroyed. So you have similar phraseology. As concerning the rest of the beasts, the other three beasts, you have the lion, leopard, and bear. Those three beasts, they had their dominion taken away, yet their lives were prolonged for a season and a time. So the fourth beast is destroyed, and perhaps the little horn was destroyed, but still there could be few months or years before at the second coming. So these beasts would continue little bit in their diminished form, not as superpowers. That's what Daniel tells us. And I saw in the night visions, and behold, one like Son of Man came with the clouds of heaven and came to the Ancient of Days, and they brought him near before him. Here it is obvious, like Son of Man, Christ, was brought to the Ancient of Days, perhaps Father. He was brought before him. So we don't know when this is happening. Is it parallelly happening while the little horn is parading to kill Christians, or is it a different time happening in heaven, perhaps at the first resurrection of Christ? Immediately after that, uh, it's more likely it happened in the first century, immediately after his resurrection. He went to the God the Father and presented himself, and he was coronated. And there was given him dominion, this is coronation, glory, and kingdom, and that all people, nation, and languages should serve him. And his dominion is an everlasting dominion which shall not pass away, and his kingdom which shall not be destroyed. Actually, this more possibly it happened immediately after his resurrection. He declared that all the power and authority in heaven and earth were given to him. He declared it. So this probably fulfilled then, but this information is given to Daniel as a positive, encouraging note for Christians while the persecution is in progress on earth. He was crowned in heaven. The dominion was given to him on earth, but he was not coronated on earth. That happens after the second coming. He will be coronated and recognized as King of Kings on earth after all the thrones were cast down, all the other thrones, and the kingdom would be given to the people or saints of Most High. I, Daniel, was grieved in my spirit in the midst of my body. The visions of my head troubled me. And I came near. Here is the interesting thing. He's still in the vision. He came near unto one of them that stood by in the vision, asked him the truth of all this. So he told me and made me know the interpretation thereof. So he's in the vision, interacting with the people in the vision. So here he gets the explanation from that angelic being in the vision. These great beasts, Kahe, which are four kings, which shall arise out of the earth. We actually see they're not single kings, they're dynasty of kings. Kings in the sense, in a broader sense, they are dynasties. But the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever and even forever and ever. So this is everlasting kingdom is given to the saints. It's a hope God is renewing us with hope while the little horn is killing us. Verse 19, then I would know the truth of the fourth beast, that is Kahe, which was diverse from all others, exceedingly dreadful, whose teeth were of iron, his nails are of brass, which devoured and broke in pieces, and stamped the residue with his feet. And of the 10 horns that were in his head, and of the other which came up, before whom 3 fell. Here the angelic being is telling about the vision. We saw this material in the vision by writings of Daniel. Now, the explanation, interpretation of the Simeon is given by the angelic being. That's why there is an overlap. So he's referring even to that horn that had eyes and a mouth that spoke very great things, Rabrab, whose look was more stout than his fellows. He's bigger, smarter, powerful. He's different from rest of the 10 horns, or at least 7 surviving horns. That's what it said. Angelic being is telling us. I beheld the same horn and made war. I beheld, and the same horn made war with saints and prevailed against them. This is very important statement we are seeing, angelic being. The little horn is making war against saints, against people of God, and prevailed against them. It is defeating. We see the same phrase in Revelation 11, verse 7. It is making war against 2 witnesses and prevailed against them, overcame them, and killed them there. We see mouth speaking great things at different places. Daniel 11, we have the king of north and king of south. Here, king of north, the king shall do according to his will. That is Daniel 11, verse 36. He shall exalt himself and magnify himself above every god, and shall speak marvelous things against the God of gods, and shall prosper till the indignation be accomplished. For that is determined shall be done. So he does exactly same thing. He opens his mouth against God and blasphemes. He magnifies himself. This pattern matching for little horn for the king of the north. Perhaps it's talking about same entities. These phrases help us to harmonize them. We also see similar pattern in Revelation 13 about this beast. Revelation 13, verse 4, and they worshipped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast, and they worshipped the beast, saying, who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him? And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and power was given unto him to continue 42 months. 42 months. This something mimics the little horn here in Revelation 13. Continuing back to Daniel 7, verse 22, until the Ancient of Days came and the judgment was given to the saints of the Most High, and the time came that the saints possess the kingdom. So God is moving according to his own timetable. Now God says the time has come now for the saints to possess the kingdom. And thus he said, the fourth beast, Kahe, shall be the fourth kingdom upon the earth, which shall be diverse from all the kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth. See, here the fourth beast is dreadful and terrible. Its scope is global. It is not a regional power. It's entire inhabited earth. It has dominion. Whole earth, and shall tread it down and break in pieces. It can prosecute anybody in any other country. It has such a big superpower. It has intelligence. It has military capability. It has political tentacles. It can prosecute anybody that opposes it and bring them back to its host country from anywhere in the world and prosecute them in its own courts. Is this happening today? And the 10 horns out of this kingdom are 10 kings that shall arise. Still, this angelic being is telling us, another shall rise after them, that is the little horn, and he shall be diverse from the first, and he shall subdue 3 kings. We have already seen that. He shall speak great words against Most High. So here we are seeing the same pattern, and shall wear out saints of the Most High. It will declare war and wear out and think to change times and laws. They shall be given into his hand. So the saints would be given into his hands, the little horn's hands, until times, and half a time, a dividing of time. So there is a certain allotted period of time we would be trodden down. The true temple would be trodden down. Verse 26, but the judgment shall sit. So judgment shall sit in heaven. They shall take away his dominion to consume and to destroy it until the end. So the little horn is toast. Verse 27, and the kingdom and the dominion and the greatness of the kingdom under the whole heaven shall be given to the people of the saints of the Most High, whose kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and all dominions shall serve and obey him. Hitherto is the end of the matter. As for me, Daniel, my cogitations much troubled me, and my countenance changed in me, but I kept the matter in my heart. Thus, the end of the scripture, Daniel 7, will just capture the points for the little horn in reality, not shadow. We have so far seen it comes out of the 10 horns of the head of the fourth beast. It uproots 3 of the 10 horns. It has eyes of a man. It has mouth speaking great things. Its look was stouter than its fellows. It made war with saints and prevailed against them. 10 horns are 10 kings. It is diverse from the rest of the horns. It shall speak words against Most High, wears out saints of Most High, thinks to change times and laws. Saints will be given into its hands for a time, times, and half a time. Judgment will sit and take away its dominion, consume and destroy it unto the end. So this is the fate of the little horn. And during its reign, nobody can challenge it. It's unchallenged power. For the times, and half a time, it reigns terror on the earth among the true church. True church was terrorized, but it meets its final fate. It is consumed and destroyed, but the kingdom is given to the people of the Most High. That brings us to the end of the presentation. We will open the room for discussion, feedback, and I greatly appreciate your contribution to the subject.